You think you're so clever, don't you, Marcus? Rachel's voice echoed through my empty apartment, her words slurred from the wine she'd been drinking all afternoon. I stood in the doorway, keys still in hand, staring at the woman I'd planned to marry. Beside her sat my brother, Tyler, on the couch we'd picked out together. His arm draped casually across the back cushion, too close to her shoulder. I didn't answer. I just watched them, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Say something, Tyler demanded, standing up. You can't just walk in here acting all high and mighty. But I could. Because I knew something they didn't. I knew exactly what they'd been planning, every conversation, every lie, every betrayal. And I was about to make sure they paid for all of it. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning. Hi, I'm Marcus, and this is the story of how my own brother and fiancée tried to steal my restaurant empire, frame me for crimes I didn't commit, and how I dismantled their lives piece by piece until they had nothing left but regret. But before we dive in, if you enjoy stories about justice, betrayal, and watching karma work in real time, make sure you stick around until the end. 3 years ago, life felt like everything I'd worked for was finally paying off. I was 35, owned 3 successful farm-to-table restaurants across Portland, Oregon, and had just been featured in Portland Monthly as one of the city's top young entrepreneurs. My flagship restaurant, Harvest and Oak, had a 6-week waiting list. I was engaged to Rachel, a food blogger with 200,000 Instagram followers who'd helped put my restaurants on the map. And Tyler, my younger brother, my only family after our parents died in a car accident when I was 23, he was my general manager. My right-hand man. The person I trusted more than anyone in the world. We'd been inseparable growing up. After Mom and Dad died, I dropped out of culinary school to take care of Tyler, who was only 16. I worked 3 jobs, paid for his college, made sure he never felt the weight of being orphaned the way I did. When my restaurants took off, the first person I hired was him. I wanted us to succeed together. You and me against the world, Marcus, he'd say, clinking his beer against mine after a long shift. Just like old times. I believed him. God, I was such a fool. The first sign came 6 months before everything collapsed. Small things at first. Inventory numbers that didn't match up. Bottles of our premium wine disappearing from the cellar. Receipts for vendor orders I never approved. When I asked Tyler about it, he waved me off. Relax, man. I'm handling it. You focus on the new menu. Let me deal with the boring administrative stuff. Rachel backed him up. Marcus, you're micromanaging again. Tyler knows what he's doing. You need to delegate more. So I did. I focused on what I loved, creating new dishes, training my chefs, building relationships with local farmers. I let Tyler handle the books, the vendors, the contracts. That was my first mistake. The second mistake was not seeing what was happening right in front of me. Rachel started working late, meeting with brand sponsors, she said. Tyler was always on his phone, stepping outside to take calls. They'd exchange glances across the dining room during service, quick looks I told myself meant nothing. You're paranoid, I'd whisper to myself while lying awake at night, Rachel sleeping soundly beside me. They're your family. Everything shattered on a Tuesday afternoon in March. I'd flown to Seattle for a 2-day food and wine festival, a chance to network with suppliers and potential investors. The event went brilliantly. A James Beard-nominated chef offered to collaborate. A venture capitalist wanted to discuss expansion into Seattle. I drove home early, excited to surprise Rachel and share the news. I pulled into our driveway at 4 p.m., an hour before Rachel expected me. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Then I heard it. Laughter from upstairs. Rachel's voice, breathy and warm. We need to be more careful. Marcus almost saw your text last week. Tyler's response made my blood run cold. Who cares? In 2 months, everything will be ours anyway. He'll be in jail, and we'll be running the show. My legs moved before my brain caught up. I climbed the stairs, each step feeling like I was walking through concrete. Our bedroom door was cracked open. They were sitting on the bed, papers spread between them. Rachel's laptop was open, showing what looked like financial documents. Tyler had his hand on her knee. I pushed the door open. 2 months until what? They jumped apart like teenagers caught by their parents. Rachel's face went white. Tyler's jaw clenched. Marcus, Rachel stammered. You're home early. I was helping Tyler with some paperwork. On our bed? My voice was deadly calm. What are those documents? Tyler stood up, blocking my view. Nothing that concerns you right now. Nothing that concerns me? I pushed past him and grabbed the laptop. What I saw made my stomach drop. Transfer agreements. New operating licenses listing Tyler as sole proprietor. Health code violation reports, all falsified, all bearing my signature. Bank statements showing systematic fund transfers to accounts I didn't recognize. What is this? I could barely breathe. Tyler, what the hell is this? He didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. It's business, Marcus. You've been coasting, getting sloppy. The restaurants need real leadership. Rachel stood up, her arms crossed. We didn't want to hurt you, but you forced our hand. You've been stealing from the restaurants, Marcus. Skimming money, falsifying health reports. We have proof. My head spun. I've been what? Are you insane? I built these restaurants. And now you're destroying them, Tyler said coldly. The Board of Health is investigating you. The IRS has questions about unreported income. Your liquor licenses are under review. Face it, brother. You're finished. Rachel moved closer to Tyler. That's when I saw it, a diamond ring on her left hand. Different from the one I'd given her. You're engaged, I whispered. To my brother. She didn't deny it. I'm sorry, Marcus. Tyler and we just happened. We didn't plan it. Didn't plan it? I laughed, a harsh, broken sound. You're stealing my businesses, framing me for crimes, and you just happened to fall in love? Tyler's expression hardened. Get out, Marcus. This is my house now. Rachel and I own the lease. Check the paperwork if you don't believe me. He was right. In my name, forged perfectly, was a lease transfer dated 2 months ago. Get out, Tyler repeated. Before I call the cops and tell them you're harassing us. I spent that night in a red roof in off I-5, staring at the water-stained ceiling, trying to understand how my life had imploded in a single afternoon. My phone buzzed constantly, messages from Tyler's lawyer demanding I stay away from the restaurants, threatening restraining orders. I wanted to scream. To break something. To give up entirely. Instead, I called the one person I knew could help me, Diane Liu, a forensic accountant my lawyer friend had mentioned once. She specialized in financial fraud cases. Mr. Chen, she said when we met the next morning, her eyes sharp behind wire-rimmed glasses. Tell me everything. I did. Every detail, every document I'd seen, every suspicious transaction over the past 6 months. She listened, took notes, and when I finished, she smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. "Your brother is an amateur," she said flatly. "Ambitious, but sloppy. Give me 3 weeks." Those 3 weeks were hell. I stayed away from the restaurants, watched from afar as Tyler stepped into my role, Rachel by his side at every event. Local food bloggers praised their fresh energy. My former staff, people I'd trained and mentored, posted photos celebrating new leadership. But I stayed patient. Because Diane was working. And what she found was beautiful in its terrible simplicity. Tyler had been embezzling for 9 months, nearly $300,000 funneled through fake vendor accounts he'd created. The health code violations? He'd filed them himself using forged documents, planning to report me to the authorities just before taking over. The liquor license issues? He'd anonymously tipped off the state board, knowing the investigation would take months. Rachel's role was equally damning. She'd used her social media influence to amplify negative stories about my restaurants, seeding doubts about food safety and management. She'd secretly met with my investors, suggesting I was unstable and unreliable. But their biggest mistake was the paperwork. Digital signatures don't lie, not when you know where to look. Every forged document had metadata showing when and where they were created. All from Tyler's laptop. All while I had alibi proof I was somewhere else. "They tried to frame you," Diane said, sliding a thumb drive across the table. "But they left a trail a first-year accounting student could follow." The Portland Food and Wine Gala was the event of the season. Every restaurant owner, food critic, and culinary influencer in the Pacific Northwest would be there. Tyler and Rachel were hosting a table, celebrating their new chapter with my restaurants. They didn't know I'd be there too. I arrived late, dressed in the same suit I'd worn when I opened my first restaurant. Carter, my lawyer, walked beside me. Behind us, 2 FBI agents in plain clothes. The ballroom went quiet as we approached Tyler's table. He saw me and stood, his face flushing red. "Marcus, you're not welcome here." "Security." Tyler Chen, one of the FBI agents, said calmly, showing his badge. "You're under arrest for wire fraud, embezzlement, and identity theft." The room erupted. Cameras flashed. Rachel screamed. "This is insane." Tyler shouted as the agents cuffed him. "Marcus, tell them this is a mistake." I stepped closer, my voice low enough only he could hear. "Remember when you said it was just business? Well, brother, this is just justice." Rachel tried to run, but Carter blocked her path. "Miss Porter, you're named in the civil suit." "I'd stay if I were you." Her perfect influencer composure cracked. She sank into her chair, mascara running down her cheeks as photographers captured every moment. The fallout was swift and merciless. Tyler pleaded guilty to avoid a longer sentence. He got 8 years in federal prison. The judge called his betrayal particularly cruel given the family relationship and victim's generosity. Rachel lost everything. Her Instagram account was flooded with accusations of fraud and deception. Sponsors dropped her. Her followers vanished. Last I heard, she'd moved to Arizona, working in marketing under her maiden name. The restaurants? I got them all back. Once the truth came out, my staff returned, apologizing for doubting me. My investors renewed their commitments. Harvest and Oak won Best Restaurant in Portland that year. I expanded to Seattle like I'd planned. Then San Francisco. Now I have 8 restaurants, a cookbook deal, and a James Beard nomination of my own. Last month, I received a letter from Tyler. It was postmarked from the Federal Correctional Facility in Sheridan. Dear Marcus, I've had a lot of time to think. I was jealous. Jealous of your success, your talent, the way everything seemed easy for you. I convinced myself I deserved what you had. I was wrong. I destroyed the only family I had left because I was too proud to admit I wasn't as good as you. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. Your brother, Tyler. I read it 3 times. Then I folded it carefully and put it in a drawer. Maybe one day I'll respond. Maybe I'll visit him, talk about rebuilding what we lost. But not today. Not while the wound is still fresh. The hardest part isn't that they betrayed me. It's that if Tyler had just talked to me, told me he was struggling or feeling overshadowed, would have helped him. I would have made him a true partner, given him his own restaurant, whatever he needed. But he chose deception. He chose to tear me down instead of building himself up. And that choice cost him everything. Some nights, when I'm alone in my office after service, I think about that moment in my bedroom when I saw those documents. How my world tilted on its axis. How I almost gave up. But I didn't. I fought back. And I won. Because betrayal doesn't break you unless you let it. And I refuse to break.